Imagine an experience so unbelievable it defies everything we know. Something that transformed the life of a skeptical priest, Father EUGENIO, into a place of miracles. MEDJUGORJE. You are about to hear a story that will change the way you view faith and the inexplicable. A supernatural journey that Father EUGENIO experienced and that you certainly won't believe. And as we delve into this extraordinary testimony, we want to extend the hand of prayer to those in need. Write in the comments now the names of people and relatives who need a prayer, and we will add them to our main prayer with the rosary, trusting that the union of our voices has immense power. If our work and videos touch your heart and are a blessing to you, please consider helping us continue. A donation, whatever amount you feel in your heart, makes a huge difference so we can continue sharing these stories of faith and hope. Just click the first link in the description or the Thanks button below the video. Jesus will certainly repay you double for all your generosity, and your help will be a fundamental pillar for the continuation of our mission. Thank you very much. At that time, Father EUGENIO carried an immense weight on his heart, a profound sadness that had robbed him of the brilliance of his studies and distanced him from his routine. After personal losses that deeply shook him, his mother died of fulminant leukemia and his father died at home, leaving him with a huge void. He retreated to a family home near the sea in Rapallo. Immersed in his grief and a certain skepticism, young EUGENIO had difficulty believing in certain manifestations of faith, especially those that arose in unusual contexts. It was in this moment of anguish that his friend, Dom Valdemar Buggiano Pico, his spiritual father for the week, noticed his sadness. With unshakable conviction, Dom Valdemar confronted him with the phrase that would change everything. "Eugenio, pack your bags, tomorrow you will come with me to Medjugorje." The suggestion surprised and resented EUGENIO, who never imagined that this invitation would be the turning point in his life. Father EUGENIO's skepticism about Medjugorje was latent. In his mind, it was inconceivable that apparitions of the Virgin Mary would occur in a country under communist rule, considering it a trick or deception. Therefore, he was reluctant and considered doing everything he could to avoid going. However, Dom Valdemar, unyielding, assertively imposed his will, almost without giving EUGENIO a chance to disagree. Although reluctant, Father EUGENIO relented, but set his condition. "I will go, but I will not speak, I will not preach, I will not do anything. I will simply observe and listen with a critical eye to everything that happens." And so they departed. Arriving in Medjugorje, the busload of pilgrims was overflowing with euphoria, especially with the anticipation of an encounter with the visionary Ivan. Everyone was eagerly awaiting that night's apparition, but the news soon arrived. Ivan announced that the apparition would be private, for his prayer group only, dampening everyone's spirits. Eugene, however, felt a palpable sense of relief, secretly feeling a bit pleased to have his skepticism confirmed by not witnessing the apparition right away. The group, including Eugene and his two friends who had pressured him to go, settled in a simple peasant house, where conditions were quite precarious, with animals nearby and a bathroom shared by many pilgrims, which only increased the priest's discomfort and irritation. One rainy night, around midnight, as a light drizzle fell, his friends insisted on climbing Mount Kryžovac to make the Stations of the Cross. Eugene, incredulous and skeptical, wondered why anyone would set out in such conditions to climb a rocky mountain. He relented, but with one peculiar condition. "I will go, but I will be the one to preach the Stations of the Cross." An arduous journey began. While everyone knelt on the wet, rocky ground, Father EUGENIO remained standing, intentionally lengthening his sermons at each station, sarcastically thinking that his companions would give up because of the pain in their knees. It was then that something inexplicable began to happen. Even under the persistent drizzle that drenched everyone, Eugenio touched his jacket and noticed that it was completely dry. Shocked, he touched himself and the others who were wet, and then touched his jacket again, which remained strangely untouched by the rain. This generated a certain nervousness and discomfort, forcing him to speed up the prayers, driven by a disturbing sensation of something he could not understand. Upon reaching the cross on Mount Kryžovac, Father Eugene's amazement reached its peak. At the top of the cross, amidst the darkness of the night, a star appeared, and suddenly, as if by a miracle before his eyes, a circle of stars formed around it. Even more astonishing, within that perfectly delineated circle, the drizzle had completely ceased, while outside it, the rain persisted relentlessly. Feeling as if he were losing his mind, questioning his sanity in the face of such an unbelievable phenomenon, Father Eugene chose silence. Without revealing what he saw, and using his experience in engaging people with other words, he simply instructed the group to pray for themselves. That night, Eugene did not pray for Medjugorje or the pilgrims, but poured out his heart to the Virgin, not in faith, but in a protest filled with pain and incomprehension. He cried out, describing his uprightness as a good young man, seminarian and priest, always following the rules, but questioning why life had taken so much from him with the sudden deaths of his parents. A raw and honest outburst, from someone who expects no answer, but only cries out for divine justice. The next day, as he descended Mount Kryžovac, lost in thought about the strange events of the previous night, which he tried to rationalize as dreams or hallucinations, Father Eugene was approached by a bearded man he had never seen. Surprisingly, the man called him by name and asked, "Are you Father Eugene?" Upon confirming, the stranger revealed with surprising precision, "I know you don't believe much in Medjugorje, but pay attention to the signs, because everything you asked for last night on the cross, Our Lady will reveal to you." That message left Father Eugene white-faced, petrified. He confided in his friend, perplexed that a stranger would know his most intimate questions addressed to the Virgin. But despite the shock, disbelief still lingered, dismissing the strangeness as a mere coincidence. However, days later, during a visit to Apparition Hill, the experience repeated itself in an even more shocking way. The same bearded man reappeared. With a serious look, he uttered the words that struck terror in Eugenio, especially in the communist context of the time. "Father, since you didn't believe my words before you leave, Our Lady will give you a sign, personally." The message, delivered so clearly and forcefully, caused such panic in Eugenio that he ran down the hill, convinced he was going to die or end up in prison. In tears, he confessed to Dom Valdemar, fearing the worst, and desperately begging him to tell Our Lady that he believed, but that he didn't want any more signs, because the next one would kill him. Days passed without further signs, bringing temporary relief to Father Eugene. It was then that a group from Italy, Emilia-Romagna, arrived in Medjugorje without a priest to guide them on the Stations of the Cross, and Eugene was asked to accompany them. He began preaching the stations, and at the third station, the First Fall of Jesus, a young man between 18 and 20 years old began to weep intensely. His uncontrollable tears drew everyone's attention from Eugene to him. Deep in his pride, Eugene thought, "Am I preaching so well that I make him cry?" But the Stations of the Cross went faster because of his uninterrupted weeping. When they reached the cross, the young man stopped crying the moment Eugene finished preaching, which again generated impatience in the priest. Eugene, irritated, questioned him about his incessant weeping since the third station. It was then that the young man revealed something shocking. "Father, you won't believe this, but I saw all my sins like they were in a movie. I saw them, I repented, they disappeared. And others appeared for me to repent again." As the young man recounted, Father Eugene doubted, thinking, how many sins could a 20-year-old have committed from the 3rd station to the 15th? But the young man continued, his eyes welling with emotion, describing a voice he had clearly heard at the last station. "Your sins are forgiven, but I need the Church's forgiveness. Go and confess to Father Eugene." The young man then claimed to be there to confess. Father Eugene, certain of God's blessing, absolved him of his many sins, which were in fact more numerous than the priest had imagined. As the young man straightened his shirt after confession, Eugene noticed bruises on his arm, discovering that he was a drug addict. Shocked, Eugene advised him to seek out a support group for drug addicts in MEDJUGORJE, as addiction wasn't cured that way in an instant. But the young man, instead of following this advice, took the vials of drugs from his pocket and, to Father Eugene's surprise, broke them right there on the mountain. With his voice choked with emotion, and the sparkle in his eyes of someone experiencing a miracle, the young man declared, "Father Eugene, I have been cured. I am that sign Our Lady promised you before leaving MEDJUGORJE." That experience was a profound shock for Father EUGENIO, an irrefutable confirmation of everything he had doubted and feared. He continued to accompany the young man, confirming that the healing was genuine and that the boy's life had truly been transformed. From that moment on, Father EUGENIO became a fervent devotee, visiting MEDJUGORJE twice a year to demonstrate his unwavering faith, gratitude, and sincere desire to love Our Lady more and more, as the doubt in his heart had transformed into a profound certainty of a higher power. Father Eugenio's story shows us that faith can manifest itself in the most unexpected moments, and that divine signs can come from where we least expect them. Just like Eugenio's journey, our own lives are full of challenges, doubts, and moments when we feel alone or lost. But his testimony is a powerful reminder that daily prayer, persistence in faith, the ability to forgive ourselves and others, the search for peace in our hearts, and the yearning for more conversions around us are fundamental pillars of our spiritual journey. He teaches us that the Virgin Mary, and through her divine grace, is always ready to surprise and strengthen us, even when our skepticism or pain distance us. No matter how great your difficulty or how much you doubt, the power of prayer and faith has the ability to transform even the most unlikely situations. Therefore, we want to strengthen this chain of prayer. If you know someone, a friend, a family member, or even yourself, who needs a prayer, a miracle in their life, consolation, or a conversion, write their name here in the comments right now. Let's add all these names to our main prayer with the Rosary, so that the intercession of Our Lady and the faith of our community can touch these lives and bring the blessings they need. What did you feel when you heard Father Eugenio's incredible story? Have you ever experienced something that challenged your reason and strengthened your faith in a way you didn't expect? Share your thoughts and your own experiences here in the comments, as your perspective is invaluable to our community and can inspire others to trust more in God and Mary's intercession. Your interaction helps strengthen our purpose and spread this message of hope and faith. If this story touched your heart and brought more light to your day, please leave a like so YouTube understands the relevance of our content. And if you're not yet part of our family, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos of faith and inspiration. May God richly bless you and your family. Until the next video, may the Lord's peace be with you.